But first,
you
have, I love this. I love the dedication to something for so long.
And it all ties in because today I was writing in on the radio and they said it was National Bat Appreciation Day. The animal, and guess what? This is the 80th year since Batman appeared in a comic book. And nobody appreciates Bat or Batman more than the man that started All American Comics almost 30 years ago with his brother. And right now, they're dispelling the myth on what comic book people are all about.
Geek, nerd, spaz, you know, whatever you want to say. I mean, it's cool to be a nerd now. It really is.
Greg Bartholomew has heard them all. After all, he and his brother Tom were the collectors that opened All American Comics 26 years ago.
My brother lasted about a year because then he got a real job. But my thing was always, I'm a long-term guy. I always thought about it. I mean, it took me 10 years before I started really making okay money. I mean, anyone that opens up a small business, if you think you're going to turn a profit in the first year or so, you're either very lucky or deluded.
Greg had another job teaching to supplement his income, but back in the early 2000s, things started to change thanks to two reasons.
A young gentleman went to the NBA by the name of LeBron James, and basketball cards basically were the hottest thing on the market. And we would sell literally thousands of dollars each month just in basketball cards for people to try to pull a LeBron James rookie, you know, or an autograph or something like that.
And Marvel and DC Comics started to make a better effort to put out movies featuring their characters.
Go on any website that keeps track of movie totals and look at the top 50 grossing movies of all time. And I just looked the other day, 48 of them are comic book, fantasy, sci-fi, you know, related movies. I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry now.
So Greg had to adapt, not just to the industry, but to the people coming into the shop.
20 years ago, it was men between the ages of 15 and 45. Now we have probably 25% female customers, where it used to be 2%. Then the Marvel movies started kicking in 2007, 2008. And I can't say a lot of people watch the movies and come in and want to go, I want to buy that comic book, but they'll buy a toy, or they'll buy a t-shirt, or they'll buy some merchandising, and it's a lot more in the people's conscience now than it was 20 years ago.
So this is the first time anyone saw the Avengers.
The Avengers, correct.
Thor, Ant-Man, Hulk, and Iron Man.
Yep.
The industry was changing. Now those characters that had small roles in the old comic books were becoming main characters in their own films. And the shop had to change too. Dolls and books and t-shirts. Greg calls it sensory overload for the customers.
You don't diversify, you'll die. And you've seen a lot of old school comic book shops by guys that were older than I am, that only collected the comic books, that haven't done anything else. You know, they've closed up shop.
And the success has followed.
Last 5 years have been the best 5 years of our 26-year existence, here and at the other store. I mean, our gross sales are higher now than they've ever been. I am pleasantly surprised. You know, I never thought it would get to be this point, but I can't complain. Like I said, it's nice to see a group of 3 or 4 just girls come in and look at some comic books or some gaming things, or, you know, some Funko Pops, and come up to the counter and really like this kind of stuff.
Now his comic book convention, Youngstown Comic Con, has grown enough to put 6,000 fans into the Cavelli Center later on this summer. And maybe most important, the kid that used to be labeled a nerd or spaz can now sit back, read, and feel good about themselves.
I mean, some of these characters mean a lot to these guys because not everybody fits the mold of being the cool guy. You know, there are plenty of nerds. There are plenty of shy kids that want to do something to get out of their shell. And this helps them, I think, in some way.
Thank you, Greg. And if you're wondering, Youngstown Comic Con is coming up July 7th, the weekend of July 7th. It's a 2-day event. It's at the Cavelli Center in downtown Youngstown. They've outgrown every other venue in the area, and they're hoping for about 6,000 people. And Jason Mewes is the featured guest. He's Jay from Jay and Silent Bob and Clerks, and a lot of other cool cult favorites.
I didn't realize that LeBron James had the, capacity to bring back a card too.
He not only does a lot for local businesses in Cleveland when he's in town, but he brought an entire business in Warren straight up
Yeah,
through
you
the
can.
ceiling. If you like this video, subscribe to Valley Spotlight on YouTube and be sure to click on the notifications bell so you know when we've got some new stuff. You also can like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to us on Vimeo or our Roku channel.